That's the sentence I want you to hold in your mind. Because it's not a headline, it's a warning, a wake-up call, a turning point. 2026 is not just another year on the calendar. It's a deadline, a line in the sand, a moment when every woman will have to answer one question. Was I the one who shaped my life, or the one who waited for permission? So listen closely. These are the 6 things every woman must know before 2026, and they are non-negotiable. Your voice is not just the sound that leaves your lips, it is the force that defines your existence. It is the shape of your identity, the map of your boundaries, the expression of your worth. Yet too many women have been conditioned to treat their voice like a fragile thing, something to soften, hide, or ration. The world has repeatedly told you that being silent makes you agreeable, being quiet makes you likable, being low maintenance makes you easy to keep. But none of that makes you powerful. Before 2026, you must understand that your voice is not meant to fit into someone else's comfort zone. It's meant to disrupt when necessary, inspire without permission, and declare who you are before anyone tries to define it for you. Your voice is your compass, and without it, you drift. Think about the opportunities you didn't claim because you hesitated to speak. The ideas you swallowed because you questioned whether they were good enough. The moments you stayed quiet to avoid being labeled difficult, emotional, dramatic, or too much. Every time you silence yourself, a piece of your future gets dimmer. Not because you lack potential, but because you hid the truth of who you are. And trust this, if you do not direct your narrative, someone else will write it for you. They will decide what you deserve, how far you go, and what spaces you're allowed to enter. That is why your voice must become non-negotiable. Not loud for the sake of loudness, but present, fully present, because your presence is your power. There's a reason society has tried to mute women for generations. A woman who speaks her truth cannot be controlled, not by expectations, not by fear, not by tradition. And once she finds her voice, she finds everything else, her confidence, her clarity, her courage. So when we talk about using your voice before 2026, it's not about learning to shout, it's about refusing to stay small. It's about standing firm when someone tries to shrink you. It's about reclaiming the parts of yourself you tucked away to survive. This world is evolving, and your silence will not protect you from the pace of that evolution. But your voice will carry you through it with intention and authority. Let's be honest, speaking up is not always easy. It risks conflict, discomfort, judgment, misunderstanding. But the greatest risk is staying silent and waking up 5 years from now in a life you didn't choose. You deserve to be heard in rooms where decisions are made. You deserve to say what you need without apologizing. You deserve to declare your ambitions without minimizing them. You deserve to ask for what you're worth, not what someone hopes you'll settle for. Every time you decide to speak, you reinforce the belief that you matter. And when you truly believe you matter, you move differently. You negotiate differently. You love differently. You lead differently. Your voice becomes the first domino that sets every other part of your life into motion. Your voice also teaches people how to treat you. If you whisper your boundaries, people will treat them like suggestions. If you hide your expectations, people will assume you have none. If you silence your discomfort, people will believe you are comfortable. The world responds to the energy you project. When you speak with clarity, the world adjusts. When you speak with conviction, the world listens. When you speak with the certainty that your existence is not accidental, the world stops trying to make you prove it. Don't wait for validation to use your voice. Use your voice and watch how the world rearranges itself in response. Before 2026, make a promise to yourself that you will never again betray your truth by silencing it. Speak in the meeting even if your heart races. Stand up for yourself even if your voice shakes. Say what you want even if you fear the reaction. Because growth is not born from comfort. It is born from courage. And your courage begins with sound. Your voice is not meant to be an accessory. It is meant to be a force that protects you, a force that declares you, a force that shapes your destiny. This is the year you stop whispering and start honoring the power that has always lived inside you, because when a woman finally decides to use her voice, the world doesn't just hear her, it feels her. And once the world feels you, it can never ignore you again. Boundaries are not walls, they are declarations of self-respect. They are not about shutting the world out, they're about letting only the right things in. But too many women have been trained to believe that boundaries make them difficult or ungrateful or unloving. That saying no somehow makes them selfish. That protecting their peace makes them hard to deal with. That is one of the greatest lies ever taught to women. Before 2026, you must understand that boundaries are not acts of rejection, they are acts of alignment. Every boundary you set is a message to the world: I know who I am, I know what I deserve, and I am no longer available for anything less. A boundary is a line, yes, but it's also a mirror. It forces you to look at yourself and ask, what am I tolerating? What am I explaining away? What am I pretending doesn't bother me? Women often stay in situations far longer than they should, not because they don't see the cracks, but because they have been conditioned to blend their discomfort with patience, to stretch themselves thin and call it love, to accept crumbs and convince themselves it's a feast. But a life built without boundaries becomes a life built on resentment. And resentment is a quiet poison. It grows silently, and it dims your spirit long before you realize you've lost your fire. Boundaries are the antidote. They cleanse. They clarify. They remind you that your needs are not burdens. They are truths. Boundaries don't just protect you, they define your value. People treat you based on what you accept, not what you deserve. If you tolerate disrespect, it becomes your baseline. If you allow inconsistency, it becomes your routine. If you excuse bad behavior, it becomes your standard. You teach people how to interact with you by how you respond to their actions. Before 2026, it's crucial to recognize that not enforcing your boundaries is the same as erasing them. And when you erase your boundaries, you erase parts of yourself. You shrink to fit the expectations of others. You bend to avoid conflict. You silence your needs to maintain peace. But a peace that requires self-betrayal is nothing more than a slow collapse. Real peace comes from honoring yourself, even if it makes others uncomfortable. Setting boundaries is not about being harsh. It's about being honest. It's about saying, this is what I need. This is what I'm no longer available for. This is where I draw the line. Honesty liberates you. It frees you from pretending. It frees you from resentment. It frees you from constantly rearranging yourself to keep other people comfortable. Too many women fear that boundaries will push people away. But here's the truth. Boundaries don't chase away the right people, they expose the wrong ones. Anyone who is offended by your boundaries benefits from your lack of them. Anyone who respects you will respect your lines. Anyone who deserves a place in your life will honor what you protect. Boundaries filter out the noise so your life can finally make sense. Setting boundaries is powerful, but maintaining them is transformational. Anyone can declare limits in a moment of frustration. But true change happens when you follow through consistently, courageously, unapologetically. That means saying no without explaining yourself. That means walking away from conversations that disrespect you. That means limiting access to people who drain you. That means refusing to carry emotional labor that doesn't belong to you. And that means choosing yourself even when it feels unfamiliar. Because choosing yourself is a habit, not a one-time decision. And once you build that habit, your confidence shifts, your energy shifts, your relationships shift, your entire world begins to align with your worth. Before 2026 arrives, make this promise to yourself: no more shrinking, no more stretching, no more sacrificing your needs for approval you don't even want. You are not obligated to be available. You are not required to be endlessly accommodating. You are not responsible for anyone's comfort at the cost of your own. You are responsible for your peace, your energy, your future, and your emotional health. And boundaries are the tools that protect them. They are the lines that keep you connected to your truth. They are the framework that supports your growth. They are the standards that shape your life. When you honor your boundaries, you honor yourself. And when you honor yourself, you become unstoppable. Because the moment a woman decides her boundaries are non-negotiable, her life no longer runs on permission. It runs on power. Financial independence is not just about money, it's about freedom. It's about the ability to make choices without fear, to walk away from situations that no longer serve you, and to stand tall without relying on anyone to rescue you. For too long, women have been conditioned to believe that financial matters are complicated, stressful, or someone else's job. But the world is changing, and dependency has a price, a high one. Before 2026, you must understand this. Financial independence is not a luxury, it is a foundation. Without it, every decision you make is filtered through the lens of survival instead of ambition. And you were not born to survive, you were born to rise. Money is not emotional, but the relationship women have with money often is. Many women hesitate to ask for a raise, charge what they're worth, invest with confidence, or negotiate without apologizing. Why? Because society has told them that good women don't talk about money, don't prioritize money, don't pursue money. That mindset is a trap. Money is not greed. Money is not selfishness. Money is safety, options, opportunity, and autonomy. Money is the difference between staying somewhere because you want to and staying because you have no choice. You deserve the kind of stability that lets you breathe, deeply, fully, without anxiety choking your dreams. Understanding your finances is an act of power. Every dollar you earn, save, invest, or protect is a statement, I am responsible for my own future. Too many women depend on employers, partners, or circumstances to determine their financial security. But dependency steals control. It creates imbalance. It gives someone else influence over your decisions, your lifestyle, or direction. That is not empowerment. That is vulnerability disguised as comfort. Before 2026, you must take ownership of your financial literacy. That means knowing exactly what you earn, what you owe, what you spend, and what you want. It means educating yourself, even if no one around you is talking about wealth. It means breaking generational patterns that kept women quiet and confused about money. Growing your money is not just for the wealthy, it is for the wise. Many women believe investing is risky, complicated, or not for people like me. But the real risk is doing nothing. Inflation rises. Emergencies happen, opportunities come and go, and life does not pause because finances are uncomfortable to think about. Investing doesn't require perfection, it requires participation. Even small, consistent investments build power over time. Even simple financial plans create stability. You don't need to be an expert, you need to be intentional. Wealth is built in daily decisions, not dramatic moments. The sooner you start, the stronger you become. And by 2026, you should see yourself as someone capable of mastering money, not fearing it. Financial independence also reshapes your relationships. When you can support yourself, you choose differently. You love differently. You negotiate differently. You don't tolerate disrespect because of financial fear. You don't stay in stagnant jobs because of insecurity. You don't accept breadcrumbs when you know you can build your own table. Money gives you the ability to align your connections with your values instead of your survival. It allows you to partner out of love, not dependence. It lets you walk away when the price of staying becomes too high. This is not about becoming hardened, it's about being whole. You deserve relationships rooted in respect, not leverage. Before 2026, make this promise. You will become the CEO of your own life. You will not hand your financial future to chance, to other people, or to outdated beliefs that kept generations of women limited. You will earn with confidence, save with discipline, invest with intention, and protect with wisdom. You will build a financial foundation that holds you, not one that collapses when life shifts, because life will shift. The question is whether you will be ready. Money won't guarantee happiness, but it will guarantee choices. And choices are the truest form of freedom. When you control your finances, you control your destiny. And a woman in control of her destiny is unstoppable. Because when a woman becomes financially independent, she doesn't just change her life, she changes her legacy. The relationships you keep today are shaping the future you're walking into, whether you realize it or not. Every person in your inner circle feeds your mind, fuels your energy, and influences your decisions. Some push you forward, some hold you back, some love you deeply, some drain you quietly. And before 2026, you must understand this truth. Your life cannot elevate if your relationships are anchored in an older version of you. You are growing, evolving, becoming someone more powerful and more aligned. But if you stay surrounded by people who only understand your past, they will limit your future. You cannot rise while keeping company that benefits from your stagnation. Many women stay in relationships, romantic, social, professional, because of history, not alignment, because of loyalty, not reciprocity, because of guilt, not genuine connection. But time spent is not a reason to stay. Familiarity is not the same as compatibility. When you cling to people who no longer match your direction, you shrink yourself to stay relatable. You minimize your dreams so you don't intimidate them. You dim your ambitions so you don't lose them. And in doing so, you lose yourself. Growth requires honesty, and honesty requires courage. Not everyone who walked with you this far is meant to walk with you into the next chapter. The people in your life should never feel like anchors. They should feel like wind, pushing you forward, lifting your spirit, challenging your potential. But too often, women tolerate relationships that suffocate rather than strengthen. You know the signs: conversations that leave you drained, not inspired. Connections that take more than they give. People who question your vision instead of supporting it. People who feel threatened by your growth instead of celebrating it. These relationships are not harmless, they are heavy. And carrying that weight into 2026 will slow you down more than any obstacle the world could place in your path. You need relationships that honor the woman you are becoming, not the woman you used to be. This means giving yourself permission to outgrow people, environments, and dynamics that no longer align. It means choosing depth over history, support over obligation, and reciprocity over routine. It means understanding that you don't have to force connections that require you to shrink. The right relationships do not demand you to choose between being loved and being yourself. They hold space for both. They don't shame your evolution, they expect it. They don't pull you back to who you were, they walk with you toward who you're becoming. But let's be clear, elevating your relationships doesn't mean cutting everyone off. It means recalibrating. It means identifying who truly adds value to your life. It means allowing yourself to seek new circles that nourish your growth, challenge your thinking, and celebrate your becoming. Strong relationships are not accidental, they are intentional. They are built on honesty, respect, mutual ambition, and a shared commitment to becoming better. When you surround yourself with people who believe in your potential, your confidence expands. When you surround yourself with people who think bigger, your dreams stretch. When you surround yourself with people who are growing, your growth becomes inevitable. Before 2026 arrives, make this commitment. You will no longer sacrifice your evolution to maintain connections that are rooted in comfort rather than purpose. You will choose relationships that elevate you, not exhaust you. You will allow yourself to seek new energy, new perspectives, new support systems, and new environments that match where you're heading, not where you've been. You deserve relationships that honor your growth, amplify your voice, and stand beside you without fear or insecurity. You deserve people who see your light and don't flinch when it gets brighter. You deserve connections that pour into you with the same intensity you pour into the world. Because when a woman aligns her relationships with her future, nothing from her past can hold her back. Your mind is the engine that drives every part of your life. Your choices, your habits, your relationships, your outcomes. And yet, most people treat their mind like an afterthought, feeding it whatever is easiest, most familiar, or most comfortable. But comfort doesn't create growth. Comfort keeps you stagnant, predictable, small. Before 2026, you must understand that investing in your mind is not optional, it is essential. It is the most valuable investment you will ever make, because everything you build in your life begins with how you think. If your mindset remains the same, your life will too. Growth is mental before it ever becomes visible. The world is changing faster than ever. Technology, culture, opportunities, challenges, everything is evolving at lightning speed. And the people who fall behind won't be the ones who aren't talented, they will be the ones who stopped learning. You cannot enter the future with an outdated mind. You cannot expect new results with old beliefs. You cannot step into your next chapter with the same thinking that kept you playing small in the last one. Before 2026, you must commit to becoming a lifelong student, not because you're unprepared, but because you're unstoppable. Learning is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of power. It proves you're willing to adapt, to grow, to rise above the limitations that once felt permanent. Every book you read is a doorway. Every new skill you learn is a tool. Every question you ask is a breakthrough waiting to happen. But too often, women silence their curiosity because the world has conditioned them to stay in their lane, follow the rules, and not ask too many questions. Curiosity is not chaos, it's fuel. The more you expand your mind, the more you expand your possibilities. When you upgrade your thoughts, you upgrade your life. When you upgrade your knowledge, you upgrade your confidence. And confidence built on understanding is unshakable. No one can take it from you. No one can diminish it. No one can use your ignorance against you when you refuse to remain uninformed. There is a powerful shift that happens when you start feeding your mind with intention. You begin to see patterns where you once saw confusion. You begin to recognize opportunities where you once felt stuck. You begin to understand yourself deeply instead of fearing your own ambition. Clarity replaces doubt. Strategy replaces chaos. And purpose replaces confusion. Investing in your mind doesn't just give you information, it gives you direction. It sharpens your voice, strengthens your decisions, and enhances your emotional intelligence. You don't just react to life anymore, you respond to it with power and precision. And let's be honest, your environment matters. The content you consume, the conversations you entertain, the voices you surround yourself with, they all shape your mind. You cannot grow mentally if you are constantly surrounded by negativity, small thinking, or people who mock your desire to learn. Protect your mental environment the same way you protect your physical space. Be intentional with what you let into your mind. Seek voices that challenge you to aim higher. Seek information that expands your worldview. Seek experiences that make you question assumptions you've carried for years. When you curate your mental environment, your potential multiplies. You begin to think in ways that elevate your life, instead of repeating patterns that limit it. Before 2026 arrives, make this promise to yourself: you will invest in your mind like your future depends on it, because it does. You will read more than you scroll. You will question more than you doubt. You will learn more than you fear. You will not allow the world to outpace you because you were too distracted or too tired or too comfortable to upgrade your thinking. You will become a woman who knows her worth, who sharpens her intellect, who builds her confidence from understanding, not approval. Your mind is your greatest asset, your strongest shield, your deepest well of power. When you elevate your mind, you elevate everything connected to it. Because when a woman masters her mind, she doesn't just change her perspective, she changes her entire world. Your life is the story only you can write, yet too often women are handed scripts they never asked for. Scripts written by society, family, culture, tradition, scripts that tell them how to behave, what to dream, who to be, and when to stop. But a story written by someone else will never feel like home. Before 2026, you must understand this with absolute clarity. You are not here to perform a role someone assigned you. You are here to create a life that reflects your truth, not their expectations. The moment you choose to step out of the script and into your own authorship, everything begins to shift. You stop asking for permission and start claiming your direction. You stop waiting for approval and start trusting your voice. You stop performing and start living. For far too long, women have been praised for their adaptability, for their ability to fit into roles, meet expectations, fill gaps, and accommodate everyone's needs but their own. While adaptation can be a strength, it becomes a trap when it erases your identity. When you mold yourself to please others, you lose the sharp edges of your own desires. When you ignore your dreams to keep the peace, you silence the very fire that makes you powerful. Before 2026, it's time to reclaim those edges. It's time to write a story that reflects your vision, not the version of you others find most convenient. You have chapters inside you that the world hasn't even imagined yet. But they remain unwritten until you decide that your destiny is your responsibility. Writing your own story requires courage. Real, uncomfortable, bone-deep courage. It means choosing paths that don't come with instructions. It means stepping into arenas where no one is cheering yet. It means risking judgment, misunderstanding, failure, and sometimes even loneliness. But hear this clearly. Choosing the safe script will cost you more than choosing the brave one. You will survive the risks of change, but you will not survive the regret of a life unlived. Regret is the weight that crushes dreams long before fear ever could. And before 2026, you must decide that the fear of staying stuck is greater than the fear of stepping forward. You owe yourself movement. You owe yourself momentum. You owe yourself evolution. Every story has pivotal moments, those defining scenes where everything could shift if the character chooses differently. You are living in one right now. Maybe you're standing at a crossroads in your career. Maybe you're reevaluating your relationships. Maybe you're learning who you are beneath old labels and expectations. Whatever moment you're in, recognize its power. This is your chance to rewrite the narrative. To say, I choose myself. To say, I refuse to live the same chapter again and again. To say, I am no longer defined by what has happened, but by what I decide happens next. Your story does not have to be perfect to be powerful. It just has to be yours. And here's the truth most people won't tell you. Writing your own story means losing characters along the way. When you grow, not everyone grows with you. When you rise, not everyone understands the altitude. When you evolve, not everyone fits the new landscape of your life. But letting go is not failure. It is alignment. It is making space for people, opportunities, and experiences that match the future you are creating. Do not fear the empty pages. Do not fear the quiet seasons. Do not fear the blank space between chapters. That space is where you rebuild. That space is where you rediscover. That space is where the most beautiful parts of your story begin to form. Honor that space, instead of rushing through it. Before 2026 arrives, make this promise: you will not live your life as a spectator. You will not let others choreograph your destiny or silence your ambition because it unsettles their comfort. You will not let the world tell you who you are before you decide it for yourself. You will own your choices, your failures, your breakthroughs, your reinventions. You will embrace the discomfort of growth because comfort never created a heroine. You will build a life that feels like truth, not performance. A life that reflects your courage, not your compromise. A life that honors your spirit, not your fear. The pen has always been in your hand. This is your moment to finally use it. Because when a woman becomes the author of her destiny, she doesn't just change her life. She rewrites the world around her.